Welcome into the End of Money podcast for Saturday, April 6th. Huge day at Keeneland, headlined by the $1 million Toyota Bluegrass Stakes, the Grade 1 Central Bank Ashland Stakes. I'm Tom Leach, along with Jim Goodman, Keeneland's Director of Wagering Development, and we're going to take a look at all 5 of the stakes races and then give you a Pick 4 ticket for the All Stakes Pick 4 that starts in the 7th, and an All Stakes Pick 5 that starts in the 6th, which is where we'll begin, Jim. The Grade 3 Commonwealth, 7 furlongs here. And some familiar names, certainly. It is a full field, great betting race. Where did you land?
Yeah, it's a great betting race with the favorite, with the favorite being probably Recruiting Ready, the 2-horse possibly, or Limousine Liberal. Both of them have run here before. Limousine Liberal lost this race last year to Warriors Club. Warriors Club is the defending champion at 10-1 in the morning line. So that tells you how strong the race turned up with 14 runners. I'm going to go to Limousine Liberal in here. He's been so consistent. Even though he's only won once at Keeneland, he's 6 out of 7 in the money, always around the lead. He got a bad finish in the Breeders' Cup Sprint, got beat by Roy H. and Whitmore. He was way wide. He was hung out 8 wide in the 9-horse field and just didn't take to Churchill very well after running 5 great races in a row, including the Phoenix last year here at Keeneland and in the Commonwealth last year when he lost by a neck to Warriors Club. I'll give him the edge here. I like Recruiting Ready a lot. That 105 buyer in the Gulfstream Sprint and on March 2nd sets him up perfectly for this race. Coppertown for Todd Pletcher comes out of the Howell's Hope where he got beat by Prince Lucky, who came back and won easily next time out. And I'm going to also throw in Majestic Dunhill, just as a long shot here, thinking there may be a little bit of a hot pace up front. He comes from way out of it and has closed consistently in the last 3 or 4 races and almost won the General George against uncontested. So that's my long shot, picking up Irad Ortiz off Virgo Lynch. So I think the 14 has a shot as well. But my win pick in here is the old favorite Limousine Liberal.
I ended up taking a bit of a swing here with New York Central. I think there's a ton of speed in here, so I'm going to go against the speed and look for somebody that can just sit off the pace or maybe come from well out of it. And so I looked at this horse who ran his best buyer figure off a long layoff for Asmussen. Ran second in a graded stake, the Pat Day Mile on Derby Day last year. He's working really well, so if he improves off that last race, which was his best ever by numbers, and if he improves off that, he could be in the mix at a nice price. So I'm going to take that shot, but I'll definitely spread when we get to the Pick 4s and Pick 5s, and I'm going to add Limousine Liberal, certainly. I talked to trader Ben Colebrook. This will be an interview that if you follow Keeneland on the social media accounts on Twitter or in the YouTube channel, you can see it. He said that horse is doing well, but from kind of reading between the lines, I wasn't sure if he was as 100% to where they'd like him. The main goal is defending his championship in the 7 furlong Grade 1 there on Derby Day. So, but he loves this track, so I got to include him. Runaway Ghost, the 10, and I put Majestic Dunhill on as well. I thought that was a really nice race last time, and he could be right there in the mix, especially with all the speed. So I went against the speed in here, and but this is a race where you could, if you had the budget, you could easily take all. But New York Central for me. 7th race is the Grade 2 Shakertown, 5.5 furlongs on the turf, and I went back to Bound for Nowhere here. He loves this track. He's 2 for 2 at this distance. The only time he didn't win was when he went in the mile. Luis Saez signs on to ride. I like that. And, Wesley Ward, we interviewed him this week, and he said they'd been able to get a race into the Bound for Nowhere last year coming into this spot, and they didn't this year, but from his training, he thinks he's ready. So I'm going to take Bound for Nowhere. Will Call, talked to trainer Brad Cox yesterday, and he said this horse, about a month ago, he was not sure he'd even run him in this spot, but he has really thrived in the last month, so he's coming on strong. And he seemed high on this horse's chances. So I'm going to add Will Call on my ticket. Imprimis had a nice win last time. So I'm going to take that horse, big number. Shakimot for a price down in the towards the inside. Those 3, 4, and 5 post positions tend to do well in these types of races. Disco Partner, but I'm not wild. I don't think this is his best distance, and he certainly could win. He's got the class, but I'm going to go against him. To give you a bigger price than ever, Square Shooter, just for a real bomb if you want to throw one in. But I'm going to go Bound for Nowhere to win the Shakertown. How about you?
Yeah, I love these 5.5 furlong sprints. You can go a lot of different ways. The opening day, that wasn't the case with Bulletin blowing them away. That was an incredible run. I think I'm going to go with Bound for Nowhere here as well. Wesley Ward loves to get his horses ready for this meet. The horse ran a 107 buyer last year in this race and won by 4 lengths, which is a huge margin in a 5.5 furlong race, and just blew away a couple in here, including Disco Partner. Disco Partner is my second choice based on back class. Not sure if he's 100% ready, coming off a layoff since the November 24th race at Aqueduct, but got a lot of respect for Christophe Clement, and got a lot of respect for this horse's consistency. He won $1.3 million over his lifetime. After that, I really didn't have a strong opinion. I think Shocky Mott at 30-1 has a chance of getting the exotics. You mentioned Will Call for Brad Cox has been working lights out. Imprimis for Orseno had a 109 buyer last time at Gulfstream, so you got to look at that. But I'm gonna take a stand here with a couple of horses in the pick 4 and pick 5 with Disco Partner the 3 and Bound for Nowhere the 9.
Moving to the Grade 1 Madison for fillies and mares, going 7 furlongs at the 8th race. And you've got the couple of horses coming out of last year's Raven Run, including the winner Shamrock Rose in here. Where did you go to the Madison?
Yeah, I also want to tell everybody that the Madison is the beginning of a cross-country pick 5 that we are co-sponsoring with Aqueduct, and it will include the Madison, the Central Bank Ashland, the Wood Memorial, the Toyota Bluegrass, and the Carter Handicap. So you got 3 Grade 1s and 2 Grade 2s, which ought to be Grade 1s, Wood Memorial and Bluegrass. So it's about as good a racing as you can put in a pick 5. So the Madison's the first legs. Take a look at that when you're handicapping. I'm interested in a horse here called Late Night Powwow that comes from Laurel. Louis Saez gets to ride. The Peltroche has ridden this horse, but they put Louis on him on her today, and she's 11 for 12 lifetime. And I know you're going to look at that and you'll say, well, she ran at Charlestown and Laurel. I don't care who you're running against. If you win 11 out of 12, excuse me, in stakes races and in top allowance races, you can run. And it's going to be interesting to see how she steps up against better company. So she's 7-2 morning line. I don't know if that's a fair price stepping up in company, but she beat Spice Perfection, who's got more back class. I think that she fits this race very well. Shamrock Rose is going to be my very lukewarm pick, however, based on the win in the Breeders' Cup Sprint last year and the win at the Raven Run. She loves this track, obviously. She got 1 race under her belt in the Azeri, did not win it, but got beat by Midnight Basu in a late. Nothing wrong with that. And shortens back up to what is probably her best distance. She tried a mile and 16th in the Azeri. At 7 furlongs, she might be hard to handle here. So I'm going to go with the Late Night Powwow, who would be the upsetter, and Shamrock Rose, the 9, who would be the logical horse. Amy's Challenge has a good shot in here. 0 for 2 at the distance. This might be a little bit long for her. And the other horses, I think you could throw them all in a pot. Anybody could get in the 3rd and 4th spots, but I'm going to stick with Late Night Powwow and Shamrock Rose for my exacta in this race.
I ended up taking a bit of a price here. I think all of these races are so well matched that my feeling is that in most of the cases, I'm going to try to find a price in here because I think if you can be right once or twice on those, it could really pay off well. And Cathedral Reader is the one that I landed on for Dallas Stewart. The horse is getting tested for this level of class, but she won here at 7 furlongs last fall. 7 furlongs seems to be her best distance. She's drawn well to stalk the speed, and I just think she's got a big shot to hit the board and maybe could win. My second pick, and the one I almost went to, was Amy's Challenge for the win. She ran in the Raven Run and looked awfully strong in there last year, just had a horrible break, and now she gets a second chance. And I think with a good break, she should be right there. Shamrock Rose will be on my ticket as well. And this is one of those spots where I'm going to stop there when I get to the multi-race wagers, but I'd love to be able to have the budget to go deeper, to use Late Night Powwow, Spice Perfection, and America's Tale even. But I think for budgetary reasons, Late Night Powwow would have been the next one I would have included. Let's go to the 9th race, the Grade 1 Central Bank Ashland. This is one I didn't get too creative on. Jaywalk. I'm going to forgive the last race, first outing of the year, and I think if she's here that she's going to bounce back for Trainer John's service. She had the best buyer figure in the group from her Breeders' Cup win last fall. Restless Rider, I talked to Trainer Kenny McPeak. That's up on the social media channels and YouTube for Keeneland. And this is her first start, and he kind of indicated that obviously the main goal is the Oaks, and he just wants this race to get her ready for that. So I don't know that she's quite ready to maybe fire her A game, whereas Jaywalk, I think, needs to come back strong after a subpar outing. Feedback is next on my list, and giving away seasoning to the other two, but certainly has shown a lot of talent for Chad Brown, so that one's dangerous. I think Bell's the One is interesting at a price. Neil Pesson's horse is 4 for 4, is one on 3 different surfaces. This is like Cathedral Reader in the last race. She's getting tested for class, but she might have it. Chocolate Kisses you could include as well. So this is a fairly small field compared to the other stakes, but really strong-looking group. But Jaywalk for me in the Ashland. How about you?
I agree 100%. If Jaywalk is ready, she wins. If she repeats that race in Breeders' Cup Juvenile, she probably wins by 3 or 4. Like you're saying, I don't think Kenny's got Restless Rider cranked yet. I think the others are a step below Jaywalk, and Feedback only has 2 races under her belt, and only 1 race is a 3-year-old, 1 race is a 2-year-old. So I think Jaywalk has it to win or lose. If that race in Gulfstream is some sort of indication of a step backward from her 2-year-old form, and that happens with 3-year-olds sometimes, I think Bell's the One is the one that you could look at for a price. She hasn't run that fast according to speed figures. She's just won, and she won easily a couple races back at Keeneland in October. She won a optional claimer here by 3 lengths. And I don't know how strong that race came back, but I remember the race, and she looked great. And I was expecting her to take a couple of steps up, and she ran some state-bred stakes at fairgrounds and won them, but she wasn't that impressive. If he's got her cranked up a little better, and she had great work on March 29th at Keeneland, she could step up if Jaywalk is not ready. So I'm going to put her on my tickets. But Jaywalk is a possible single here if you really think she's ready.
I will add one other thing on Restless Rider. In talking to Kenny McPeak, he was talking about he'd love to win the Ashland Bluegrass Double, and he's done it before with Take Charge Lady and Harlan's Holiday, and I think the only other trainers to do it are Ben Jones, Woody Stevens, and Wayne Lucas. So it's great company to be in, and then to be the only guy to do something would be incredible. So I don't. You know, I think while she is moving toward the Oaks, I certainly don't think they're without optimism for the Ashland. I will say that, but I'm like you. Jaywalk is my pick. Let's go to the 10th race, the Grade 2 Toyota Bluegrass. This is a 14-horse field, I think, for the 3rd or 4th time in the last 6 years. Got horses trying to run their way into the Kentucky Derby here, and it's a great betting race. And I think you got some of the leading contenders that might have questions at the distance. So where did you land in the Bluegrass?
I think at this point, every 3-year-old has questions.
Fair point.
It's a crazy. We were sitting here last year at this time, and even though nobody knew Justify was going to be as good as he was a clear front runner. And I don't think there is a clear front runner. I think you got Game Runner out west. It probably is for Baffert, but you can throw a lot of these others in a pot and stir them up, and I think we got the possibility of having a really wide-open Kentucky Derby. This race obviously goes through Vacoma, the good finish in Fountain of Youth. Castellano takes over for Manny Franco, which in some cases is not that big a step up. Manny Franco is riding lights out right now, but they put Castellano on him. He ran behind Code of Honor and Bourbon War, who did not come back and run well in the Florida Derby. So it questions how strong this Fountain of Youth was. But you've got to take him off the Nashua and off the Fountain of Youth. I think Signal Man for Kenny McPeak is coming into this race very well. He does need to run a good race because he didn't run well in the Fountain of Youth, so he's got to run a good race to get in the Derby. I think that he's got a better shot here of running big than possibly Restless Rider does, simply because of the readiness and the need to win it. Win, Win, Win is the other logical horse. Didn't run that great in Tampa Derby. Go back to the Tampa race and the Laurel races, and he's very consistent, so he's got a good shot. Here's my long shot special today. I think I have noticed and I have heard that Dreammaker for Mark Casse looks absolutely wonderful on the track. And that work of 46 flat on March 30th, first of 48 that day, just tells me that he's coming to this race the right way. And you just draw a line through that Tampa Bay Derby where he got bumped at the start. They never really persevered with him. If he was coming in off that optional 50,000 race where he won by 8.5 at Fairgrounds, he'd be 3 or 4 to 1. He's 12 to 1 morning line. If I get 12 to 1 on morning line and pick Dreammaker, I will place a win bet on the horse. So I'm going to put him in my pick 4s and pick 5s, thinking that he's got a real shot here because I don't think there's a standout. I think it's wide open. The other horses, Sir Winston might run big for Mark Casse as well. Came late on the outside in the Tampa Bay Derby. Great race. Hard to throw a lot of them out, but I do think I can narrow it down to at least 4 or 5 for the pick 4 and pick 5.
I am between Signal Man and Dreammaker, and I end up leaning to Signal Man. I like the way he's training coming into this race. It looks like McPeak has tightened the screws on his horse. I think he is going to love a mile and an eighth. So he's my pick, and as you said, the angle of needs to run big, so he's going to be fine-tuned as best as possible. But Dreammaker I like a lot. I think that one's got a big shot to win this. So he's my second pick. And then I think I went Vacoma next and Win, Win, Win. And I'll throw out one more really big price, and it's the 4 Market King. We've seen Wayne Lucas hit in unlikely spots before. And I don't know that there's an abundance of speed in the Bluegrass, and this horse could get to the front easily and with John Court. So I'm going to throw Market King in as well for one to consider at a big price. Probably actually going to put that one ahead of Win, Win, Win when we get to these multi-race tickets. But let's do that. So Signal Man for me over Dreammaker in the Bluegrass. Let's go to the 7th race, Jim, and we'll do the All-Stakes Pick 4 that starts with the Shakertown. My ticket is going to start with 5 in that first leg, 4, 6, 7, 9, 11. Using a couple of prices, Shocky Mott and Square Shooter with the top 3 of Bound for Nowhere, Will Call, and Imprimus. I'm going to use Cathedral Meter, Amy's Challenge, Shamrock Rose, 4, 7, 9 in the next race. Just going to use Jaywalk and Restless Rider in the Ashland, and then go 4 deep in the Bluegrass for a $60 ticket, 2, 3, 4, and 6. How about you?
Okay, my pick 4 starts out with a 2-bagger, Disco Partner, the 3, and the 9 horse Bound for Nowhere. So go 3, 9 in the first leg. Also 2 legs in the 8th race with the 6, 9, and that's Late Night Powwow, and the what was going to probably be the favorite Shamrock Rose. So I go 3, 9 with 6, 9. In the Ashland, I'm going 4 deep with the 4, 5, 6, 7, the ones we talked about, Jaywalk, Feedback, Restless Rider, and Bells of One. And then I'm going to close it out with the Bluegrass. This is going to be a $64 ticket, I believe. You can go deeper in the Bluegrass if you don't feel good with these picks, but Vacoma the 2, Signal Man the 3, Dreammaker the 6, who would be my top pick from a price standpoint, and Win, Win, Win the 8. So I'll go 3, 9 with 6, 9, with 4, 5, 6, 7, with 2, 3, 6, 8, and I think it's $32 rather
now,
than $64 for.
Give me a pick 5 ticket, all stakes pick 5, starting in the 6th race, the Commonwealth.
Pick 5 gets a little more expensive because I cannot narrow down the Commonwealth less than 5 horses. So I had a $32 pick 4 ticket I gave you. The pick 5 ticket winds up being $160 because it's 5 horses times that 32. But pick 5 yesterday at opening day on Thursday paid $6,300 in the opening pick 5, and I think the pick 4 paid $700. So you incrementally the pick 5 is a very good betting race. 1, 2, 6, 13, 14 for me. So Coppertown recruiting ready. Limousine Liberal the 6, Warriors Club the 13, and Majestic Dunhill the 14 are my horses in the pick 5.
I'm going to use the 4 horses I gave out, 6, 9, 10, and 14 in the pick 5. And then to make the ticket affordable, I trimmed down some of my other legs. So I did those 4. I just used Will Call and Bound for Nowhere in the next race, so 6, 9 in the second leg. Then I used the same 3 in the Madison, 4, 7, 9. Same 2 in the Ashland, 4, 6. And then I just took a stand with Signal Man and Dreammaker in the Bluegrass, 3 and 6. So that's a $48 ticket for 50 cents on my pick 5. Some great racing on Saturday, and you have some other opportunities around the country with the Santa Anita Derby Day out west, Wood Memorial Day up in New York. So make sure your Keeneland Select account is fully funded. If you're at the track, you want to take advantage of maybe an opportunity, one of those other cards. And then if you can't get out to Keeneland, you want to play the races, make sure you've got funds in your Keeneland Select account. And we'll be back with a Sunday edition of the In the Money podcast.